The Detroit Lions walked into the NFL combined with a clear message. This offseason will be defined by accountability, recalibration, and urgency, especially in the trenches. After a 2025 season that exposed vulnerabilities along the offensive line, leadership figures made it obvious that protecting their identity starts up front. General Manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell spoke at length about a unit that had once been the engine of the team's physical dominance, but now requires reinforcement, flexibility, and possibly a philosophical adjustment. When a franchise that prides itself on toughness begins openly discussing contingency plans at multiple positions, it signals more than routine roster maintenance. It signals a recognition that their championship window depends on restoring the foundation that carried them to relevance in the first place. The most revealing storyline revolves around left tackle Taylor Decker, whose decision to return for an 11th season stabilizes the room but does not eliminate concern. Decker battled through a grueling 2025 campaign, managing a painful shoulder injury that forced him into a cycle of constant rehabilitation, limiting practice participation and raising legitimate questions about longevity. His emotional reflections about balancing football with family life underscored the physical toll of the sport, and his return now comes with the understanding that maintenance will be ongoing. Campbell made it clear that even with Decker back, the Lions must prepare for scenarios where he cannot carry a full workload. That admission is not a slight against a franchise cornerstone. It is an acknowledgement that elite teams plan for decline before it becomes crisis. Because of that reality, Detroit is actively pursuing tackle depth regardless of Decker's presence. This is about insulation against injury, age, and the unpredictable grind of an NFL season. Championship-caliber teams rarely wait until disaster strikes to address premium positions, and left tackle is as premium as it gets. The Lions are essentially searching for a player who can function as both insurance and eventual successor, someone capable of stepping in during a critical stretch run or even seizing the job long-term. That dual-purpose search will influence their draft board, free agency strategy, and salary cap decisions. It also reflects how seriously the organization views its offensive identity, one built on protecting the quarterback and imposing will in the run game. Inside the line, flexibility is becoming the guiding principle, particularly with young lineman Tate Ratledge emerging as a potential solution at center. Holmes revealed that moving Ratledge from guard to center remains a legitimate option, not a desperate experiment. The coaching staff believes his early camp reps showed promise, but they initially prioritized easing his transition to the NFL at guard. Now, entering his second season, the possibility of shifting him inside could reshape the entire interior configuration. Position versatility is invaluable in a league where injuries can derail continuity, and Ratledge's ability to anchor multiple spots gives Detroit leverage in roster construction. If he can handle the mental demands of center, calling protections, diagnosing fronts, orchestrating communication, he could become the glue that holds the line together. The uncertainty surrounding veteran Graham Glasgow adds another layer of intrigue. At 33, Glasgow sits at the intersection of performance, finances, and potential retirement. Releasing him would create meaningful cap space, but losing his experience could destabilize a unit already in transition. Holmes declined to commit publicly to any decision, emphasizing the need for clarity before the new league year. That careful approach suggests internal debate about balancing fiscal responsibility with on-field reliability. Veteran linemen who understand the system are difficult to replace, yet the NFL salary cap forces hard choices that often come down to projecting future decline versus present value. The center position itself embodies the Lions' broader offseason dilemma: trust a rookie, rely on a converted player, or invest in a proven veteran. Holmes openly acknowledged the complexity of the role, highlighting the mental processing required on every snap. While rookies have succeeded at center, teams typically prefer experience at such a communication-heavy position. Detroit's willingness to explore free agency, the draft, or internal options indicates they have not settled on a single path. That openness can be strategic, allowing them to react to market dynamics, but it also underscores how unresolved the situation remains. The decision will ripple across the offense because the center acts as both protector and coordinator in the trenches. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the Lions' offseason strategy and want more detailed breakdowns like this throughout the year, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an analysis when major news drops. While the offensive line dominates the conversation, the Combine also revealed concerns on the defensive side, particularly regarding safety Kirby Joseph. His lingering knee injury has evolved into a long-term management issue rather than a straightforward recovery timeline. Campbell's cautious updates suggest the team is uncertain about Joseph's readiness for 2026, which has significant implications for the secondary. A defense that relies on versatile safeties to disguise coverage and support the run cannot function optimally without stability at that position. The ambiguity surrounding Joseph forces Detroit to prepare contingency plans, whether through the draft, free agency, or schematic adjustments. Continuity on the coaching staff, however, offers a stabilizing counterweight. Retaining safeties coach Jim O'Neill despite interest from the New York Jets preserves developmental momentum in a position group facing uncertainty. O'Neill's impact on players like Brian Branch and Joseph has been profound, and his promotion reflects how highly the organization values continuity. In a league where coaching turnover can disrupt progress, keeping a trusted teacher in place helps ensure that young defensive backs continue evolving within a familiar system. Defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard emphasized that the defense's struggles were not due to a lack of talent, but rather situational execution, particularly on third and long and explosive plays allowed. His brutally honest self-scouting approach, rewatching every breakdown repeatedly, signals a culture that prioritizes accountability over excuses. By confronting weaknesses head-on, the Lions aim to transform painful lessons into competitive advantages. That mindset mirrors Campbell's broader philosophy. Improvement comes from brutal honesty and relentless detail. On offense, new coordinator Drew Petzing described an adaptable philosophy centered on maximizing the roster's strengths rather than forcing a rigid system. His emphasis on efficiency as a moving target aligns with Detroit's identity as a matchup-driven team willing to adjust weekly. Whether that means pounding the run or attacking downfield, the offense will be shaped by personnel and opponent tendencies. This flexibility becomes especially important as the line evolves, because protection schemes and run concepts must match the strengths of whoever ultimately fills those starting roles. Beyond roster mechanics, the Lions are also expanding their global footprint, highlighted by an upcoming game in Munich that excites star receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, whose German heritage makes the event deeply personal. International exposure strengthens the franchise's brand and reflects the NFL's broader push to globalize the sport. For players, these games create unique experiences that can energize a locker room and broaden fan connections. All of these threads, offensive line reconstruction, injury management, coaching continuity, schematic evolution, and global outreach, converge into a single narrative. The Detroit Lions are transitioning from rising contender to established power that must sustain success under pressure. The Combine did not produce flashy declarations. It produced a blueprint for disciplined improvement. Detroit understands that the margin between contender and champion is razor thin, and every decision this offseason will be judged by whether it moves them closer to lifting a Lombardi trophy. If you believe the Lions are building something special and want to follow every twist of this journey toward a potential Super Bowl run, subscribe now and stay locked in, because this offseason could define the future of football in Detroit.